Hey, what's up, guys? In this video, I'm going to answer a question that I recently got from one of my viewers, and that is, if I got sentenced to life in prison without any possibility of parole, would I have committed suicide, or would I now commit suicide? And that's actually a very good question, and something that I have dealt with personally as far as the thought process, and as far as knowing other people who have killed themselves. They didn't even have life. They just had long times to do, and they killed themselves. So, I was never facing life without the possibility. However, in those times where I had made up my mind that I was going to trial, it was made very clear to me by the state's attorney general's office that if I forced them to go to trial and forced them to prove my guilt and was found guilty, that they were going to give me the absolute maximum allowable by law, which was 143 years. Most of that would have fallen under what's called the Graves Act for violent crimes, and in that I would have had to have done 85% before any parole eligibility anyway. So it was the equivalent of that, the life without parole. And I remember, during those times, it was a difficult thing to even think about. For those of you that have seen some of my other videos where I speak about very personal issues, I have had severe depression and suicidal thoughts long before, this prison term that we're talking about here, and when I was facing all this time. And so for someone like myself, it would be much more likely that if, shit hit the fan, that I would have actually killed myself versus someone else. So people who have those kind of tendencies to think those things, even when you're not in that worst case predicament in the free world, are much, much more likely to do it when they're actually forced because of circumstance like prison. I would say that I wouldn't consider it unless there was absolutely no chance at all that I was going to get out, like with the life with parole, or if I actually got the 143 as a sentence. Now, my answer is different than what it would have been back then. If it were today, I have children. I have my own family to think about, and I feel different than I did back then about, my role in the world and God and that relationship and what is expected of me. For those reasons, now I would not kill myself. I'd like to think that I won't. I don't actually know until I'm there. Who knows? Maybe if I was there, I'd be overwhelmed with emotion and just hang up. But back then, I think the answer is yes, I would have committed suicide. And the main reason why, again, keep in mind, this is assuming that there was no possibility, there's nothing. And I really believed that I would be there forever. And that's also after having explored the possibility of escape. Because I definitely try to escape first before I resorted to suicide. So this is assuming that I cannot escape, I can never get out, there's no possibility of any laws being changed. I've failed in all my appeals, all my sentence reconsiderations, everything. I would have killed myself back then. And the main reason is because, I never viewed life in jail and prison, living under those circumstances of actually being put in a fucking cage like an animal every day, like a dog. By the way, I don't even put my own dog in a cage, so worse than an animal. I never viewed that as actually living. A lot of people go to prison and go to jail, and it's crazy that some of them are happy to be there because they see their boys, they see their relatives, and, everything's cool. They've been going in and out their whole lives. They fucking enjoy it. Whereas for me, there is nothing worse than losing the power and the ability to make your own decisions, the freedom to do the little things. I want to eat when I want to. I want to be able to go to the bathroom in private. I want to shower by myself. I don't want to be behind the locked door where I can't get in and out. I want to be able to see, the free world and breathe fresh air. So for me, it was not a life anyway. It was just fucked up. You're frozen in that place in there where the world is continuing on the outside. Everyone's life is going on except yours. And even for me, I didn't have to do decades in prison. Some of the people I know do or did and are still doing it now. But it was enough for me to realize that I can't live like this. This is not even living. What the fuck am I doing here? Why? Why continue? And I remember specifically thinking back then with regard to this that I would kill myself just because I don't want to be a burden to anyone. You know, I don't want to go out like that. I'd rather die young and let people move on and grieve and, you know, have the memories of me that they did of being a young man and whatever it was, good or bad, versus staying alive and letting people, you know, every couple of years just have a thought about me and remember me and wonder what's going on and just, you know, me dragging it all out. And for what? What would be the purpose? To continue to hurt people, to continue to be a burden and, you know, bother people. But for what? I just keep getting older and shit keeps going down for me, and there's no reason for me to continue if this is it. If I'm convinced I'm going to die in this fucking cage, then let me die now. Why should I continue and endure all that fucking hell? And again, this is different for other people. I'm sure a lot of other people would not feel that way. And it's because what I said before, there's different levels of dealing with stuff. I can deal with anything. I can survive any fucking place that man can live. I can live. So it's not about being tough or physically surviving the environment. That's not what it's about. It's about, you know, how you deal with it and how you perceive it. I can go through the motions and survive it and get through it. But if there's no end to it, then what is the real purpose? I wouldn't understand. Unless I had some way that I was really able to help people from the prison that I was in and had a broad, you know, a voice in some way that I felt that I was making a real impact in life, maybe I would sacrifice and stay alive for the benefit of helping others. But without that, you know, I would kill myself. So I'm interested in what you guys think about this. This is a very, you know, unusual topic, something that's not often spoken of. I appreciate you guys asking questions. As always, I'll continue to do my best in answering them. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.